I am here with Roy Willey from
Hi,
Colorado.
from Colorado. It's
Yes,
great to
and
be
Roy is
here.
going to be our special musical guest on the next Air Prayers, which is June 27th, I believe.
Yeah,
And you and I have known each other for a while. We've spent actually a bunch of time together.
yeah.
There are some things I know about you, a lot of things I don't know about you. So I want to use some of this interview time to have you talk more about can you talk more about your musical journey to
Oh,
where you, to how you got here?
yeah. Well, I guess the big thing to know is that my musical journey had a great big gap for about 30 years, um, where
That
I didn't really,
happens.
yeah, where I really didn't do anything except for, wish that I was doing music, I guess. But as a kid, there was always music. There's a piano in the house, and grew up just playing the piano by ear, just learning songs off the radio and whatnot, and then started playing clarinet in the school bands, and did that for up until high school, and and then for lots of different reasons, just dropped music. Um,
What are
I
some of
had
those
been
reasons?
well, I I think we all sing as children, and somewhere around middle school, I was doing some singing, and I was trying out for a the church musical, and that's a horrible time for boys, especially with your singing voice, because your voice is changing and weird things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so trying out for the musical, and the girl I had a crush on made fun of the way I sang, and so I didn't decided I wasn't going to sing anymore ever, and unconsciously. Um, but I still stuck with music, and then later on in high school, it just became. I was also interested in photography, and it became much sort of cooler to be a photographer for the yearbook than it was to be a clarinet player in the marching band in my high school. And so it sort of just went by the wayside. And this sort of insecurity about my singing voice, and this insecurity about music in general, I just put it on a shelf for a long time, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't do much with it. And then, later in life, in my 40s, I was transitioning through some career changes, and trying to figure out what it is that I really love, and what it is that I really want to do. And music has always been there. Music has always been something. I never stopped singing. I just stopped singing in public. I would
Uh-huh.
sing in my car. I would sing in my shower. I would sing all these places. And I thought, well, that's kind of silly. Why don't you just go sing? You love to do it. And so I stepped out and started singing in various little small groups and experimental choirs. And at some point, I stumbled upon a circle singing group, and something just clicked with that. You know,
Where was the
I
circle singing group?
This was in Denver. This was
Uh-huh.
in Denver. There's a woman who had been to the Omega Bobby McFerrin circle singing workshop, started a little group in Denver, and I had no idea what it was, but the description mentioned, singing like Bobby McFerrin, and I thought, well, cool, I'd love to do that, and jumped in with that group, and it immediately struck me as, this is something special. This is something that's it's deeper than just singing with each other. There's a connection that happens, particularly when
Mm-hmm.
you're improvising, when you're making stuff up on the spot. Um, Something just struck a chord with me, and so a few weeks later, I found myself at Omega myself, and then it all just snowballed from there. That's that first night in Omega, trying to sing through tears of joy just with the, you know, the power of that music in that group. And I just knew right there that that's what I wanted to do with my life, pretty much.
I want to say two things. One is the fact that you stopped singing. The reason I asked you that is that happens to so many people.
Oh,
That the exigencies of being a teenager and
right.
growing up and hurtful things said and not being sure where to take it and not having the full array of choices.
Right.
What's beautiful is that you came back to it, that you were having a career change, which a lot of people also go through,
Of
but a lot
course.
of them don't go that next step of trusting their heart and trusting
Mm.
their desire. So I want to congratulate you on being one of the ones who just followed your heart all the way to
Yeah.
Omega, and that story of how many times people came there and it was an epiphany.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so circle singing. Um, so that got you to starting your own circle singing.
It did. It did. Yeah. Immediately after that, I just came, I came back to Denver, continued with the group that I had been singing with, but also just started doing it on my own, started leading my own groups. Um, and then leading other small group sort of improvisational things in the style that you taught me in that very first workshop, and um, and of course then went on to study with you a lot more, and then formed a choir. Um, I went and studied with some people in Canada, Siobhan Robinsong and some people like that, who have developed this type of all voices choir leadership where anybody can come and sing, and we don't use sheet music, and we just learn everything by ear and sing everything by ear. And that struck something with me as well, because a lot of the people that are attracted to that went through a similar experience as me, as they're uncomfortable with their voice. They don't feel like they're good enough to sing in a choir or whatever, but they really
Mm-hmm.
enjoy singing. And so that was kind of a next step in it too. Bringing all of those things together has just been, well, I joke that it doesn't feel like work. It feels like I'm just playing, all the time, and so I really see how people light up when
Mm-hmm.
they get to do this, when they get to come and be in a circle and create music and hear the harmonies. And yeah, there's nothing.
Well, so you not only brought yourself back to music, you decided to be a teacher and bring other people.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm trying.
Hallelujah.
That's what I'm trying. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's going well, isn't it?
It is. It
Yeah.
is. It is.
Even
Yeah.
through COVID.
It's been an interesting time, but yeah,
Hmm. So
it's,
you started doing, were you looping before COVID?
well, I bought a looper a few years ago, as a way to practice circle
Hmm.
singing, as a way to practice, building parts and what, and so I would practice with that and I would sing with it a lot. But no, before COVID, um, I consider myself more of, I mean, singing for me is a community, is a collaborative sort of thing. And then so when we couldn't do that live together, and on Zoom it becomes a little more difficult to sing together like that. And so I was trying to figure out a way. Well, how do we do this? And I realized that the looper, first of all, it can create the illusion of many voices,
Hmm.
and then people can sing along on the other end, muted, and we do some things that are unmuted as well. But it was just an opportunity to kind of to really explore this as a tool for connecting over this Zoom platform, you know?
Well, I want to say that you're one of the ones that I observed this year grow by leaps and bounds in terms of your capacity with looping, which has become so important this year,
Yeah,
learning how to track and
right.
how to loop. And then you took it a step further in which you developed this capacity for journeying with
Yeah.
what I would call, is that what you call it?
That's what I call it. Yeah. And because, you know, the circle singing, particularly as you know, the way that you teach it and the way that it's I think was originally meant to be done was that it's a it's a process. You know, you start a song and the song doesn't end. It just keeps changing and morphing and building, and maybe leaders change and new parts come in. And I love that about it. And so what the looper does is it allowed me to practice, how do I do that? How do I keep a song going for a long time and make these transitions?
Mm-hmm.
And then I found that the process of doing that, you know, I would feel completely different after 20, 30, 40 minutes of just
Uh-huh.
singing nonstop than when I started. And I thought, well, there's something right there, that I can bring to people in this format online. I can use this looper. I mean, if it makes me feel like this, have people on the other end doing the same thing, just
Mm-hmm.
using their voice for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, uh, it became really a big part of what I've been doing this past year. Um,
I want to say that you and I have been part of a group called the Garage Bandits, which is a loosely formed group of people who just
yeah,
propose composition ideas and then everybody jumps in on it. And I I want to say that those kind of groups through the year, I think have been a salvation for so many people
yeah,
because you can do the journeying by yourself, you can do the looping by yourself, but the human contact
well,
is
yeah,
really important, and people had different levels of skill. And what really helped me was to be able to join a group and say, I don't understand this, or I don't know how to
right,
do this. Can you help me? And I found this a shockingly amazing generosity on the part of people to say, "Yeah, I'll let's do a private session. I'll help you figure out how to
right.
do it." And I think that multiplied by so many people. Would you say that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. This, you know, this, it's really been, that's been the big blessing of this whole thing is being able to connect with people from, I mean, you're in Hawaii, I'm in Colorado, and we're doing this and we're singing together regularly. And um, yeah, being able to learn from people, being able to share ideas, being able to
Hmm.
present things, it's just, it's been phenomenal. And yeah, I have this following now from people who literally all over the world, which
Yeah,
is, I mean, I'm following is maybe a
yeah.
strong word, but yeah, people that come to my events that are from all over the world. And I
Yeah.
think, you know, how could that have happened had not for the whole
Well,
COVID thing?
it did mean that you needed to present a really varying palette of ideas.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you're one of the ones that I feel like just took a hold of this and went with it very far. I'm
yeah.
really excited about what you've um, developed. So some people seem to get to it more, and some people just kind of laid back. Can you say what it is about the mechanics of the, because you've got to go through some serious study to get through the mechanics so that it's not running your musical life, but that you actually using the various looping and tracking platforms to get where you want to go. Was there a place where you realized it was no longer you weren't studying anymore, you were like flying?
Well, I mean, um, I still feel sometimes like I'm flying by the seat of my pants,
But that would
but
be the point.
Right, exactly. But I mean, but I feel like I still get lost sometimes. But yeah, no, it's an instrument like any other instrument, and at some point, you're no longer or typing. You're no longer trying to figure out where's the A, where's the T, but then you're making words.
Hmm.
Or you're no longer trying to figure out what the chord is or how do I make a G. You're playing music, and it's the same thing with this device. At some point it just becomes you develop a certain sort of mastery over it, and then you can get beyond the mechanical stuff and just start to let the ideas come
Hmm.
through and come out.
Yeah.
And that was a great, I don't know if there was one single aha moment, but there was a time where it was like, yeah, I'm getting to the point now where I don't have to think so much about how do I do this, as opposed to, yeah, just letting the music happen.
And I suspect that part of that comes from teaching other people aspects of it and having to go through the process over and over so it becomes, you teach what you need
Sure.
to learn.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's been a big part of this year too, is teaching people how to use or different ways to use the looper, um,
Because that's one of the
which
classes you do in which
it
you,
is.
yeah.
Yeah,
Can you talk about how that's gone?
it's been great, and another. What's cool about it is that this Zoom platform makes it super easy to teach this and to learn like this because you can set up a camera and you can see the looper and
Uh-huh.
um, it's been really good. I've gotten a lot of really good feedback and the classes have been great. Um, I enjoy I enjoy teaching it, and you're right. It requires me to study enough that I can teach it in a simple way.
Yeah.
Who was it that said if you can't explain it simply, you don't know it well enough or something like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And have you observed people going in surprising directions with the information?
I've been with people and we've taken it in surprising directions. It's become sort of an extension of vocal improvisation for me, and there are several people that will get online and with our loopers then just have sessions that are just free form, free flowing, that will go for 20, 30, 40 minutes nonstop, back and forth between one person will lay down some tracks, people will solo over the top, somebody's doing atmospheric stuff. It's like it adds, instead of two or three people online, you've now got 15 different people online, but it's all coming through three different ports. Does that make sense?
Yes, so then it stays in rhythm.
More or less, yeah, yeah. It's never going to be perfect online, but
Yeah, yeah.
But what's interesting now is that now that we're sort of coming back to the real world again, um, using this as a tool. How do we bring this now into the real world?
Yeah, so what do
And
you
so
think?
I've been working with a friend here, Tom. Tom, and we're figuring out, well, how do we do this together live then in person? And we've been playing around with that.
So
Um,
tell me about that.
so we've just gotten together, set our loopers up, connected them in some cases, not connected them in some cases,
Uh-huh.
set it up with a PA, and it's like improving together. But then you have five more of you that you can add different parts to, so you can
Uh-huh.
build a whole big thing, or not, or just do some cool atmospheric stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so that's kind of a new direction that we're playing
That's
around with right
fabulous.
now.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
So that means that you don't suddenly need to do a big 180. You need to just take what you've been doing and figure out how to adapt it
right,
live.
right, right. Yeah, yeah. And taking it into, I don't know that I would necessarily take it into like a choir group or a singing group or something like that. But a lot of the meditation stuff that I've been doing, I can see using it in a live setting as well. You know, being able to build then tracks that we can sing with live
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in a room together.
Oh,
Um,
that's really great.
yeah,
Well, and it just comes of you getting a hold of you're I have been really struck by the commitment that you have made in your life to following where music takes you.
yeah. Well, yeah. Um, I feel fortunate that I've been able to do that, and it seemed like when I made that commitment that just doors started to open,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and the pathway would start to appear in front of me. This is how you do this. This is how you do this, and this is how you're going to make it happen. And um, I think that's I think there's power to that in whatever you truly are meant to do or you're truly passionate about it. When you commit to something, I think then the way begins to show itself, you know.
I agree with you totally.
Yeah.
And it isn't always a logical
No.
pathway, but there
Yeah.
has to be some like deep personal commitment that you trust.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Well, and
so
you know
what
that
does
more
the
than anyone. So
well, yeah, I'm I'm so interested in how we come back to the or maybe go forward
right.
to the next phase for myself as well. Like what does it
Right.
mean now that COVID is shifting? It's certainly hardly anything is going to go back to the way it was before. And that's mostly a really good thing.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
lost so many people.
Yeah.
And we have had this enormous shift in consciousness that we all want to hold.
Yeah.
And we want music to be in the foreground of helping make change. And it feels
Yeah.
like the more people that get involved in music, the more that's possible.
Yeah. I think so. I think so. And it really has, it's been, well, we're improvisers. You're an improviser. You've taught me so much about improvisation, and boy, what a lesson in improvisation this last year has been. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and what a journey. But it's I guess what it's shown me, and I think it's shown the world, is that you can't plan anything really. I mean, you're not in control of anything,
Yeah.
you know?
And
And
that there are these amazing opportunities,
yeah,
second by second of the day. And our capacity to observe those and figure out how to move with it is not just a musical choice, it's
no,
really a
yeah,
life choice. That came to me over and over as I was teaching, realizing we were studying music, we were studying community, we were studying daily life, we were studying breath after breath after breath.
hmm yeah.
What a beautiful,
It's a
beautiful.
life skill. Yeah.
It is a life skill. It absolutely is. Yeah. And so what's next?
What's next? Yeah. Well, it's again, it's kind of this big question mark. I mean, we had this sort of off balance period of shifting from life, and now we've kind of got this off balance period of shifting back into life. And I'm having a circle song for the first time live again since 20 January 2020. Monday night, we're getting together with a group of circle singers, and we're gonna have a nice outdoor circle, and my choir, we're gonna be together for the first time the following night, in the same space, and just sort of navigating slowly, how do we get back into doing this all together.
That's great.
And
That gives me a lot of courage. We haven't started circle singing over here yet, but it feels just very imminent, but then not quite yet, but then imminent. But it's a big to launch back in. Well, I'm so grateful you're going to create the score for the air prayers, and the theme of this air prayers is journeys. Because, oh, what a journey we've been on. And as you're saying,
Absolutely.
oh, what a journey we're about to embark on.
Yeah.
So you'll be looping live. You'll be creating the track live.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yay! Improvising. And you and I love to sing together, so I'll be joining you wherever I feel it.
Yeah.
And I hope that a lot of people will come and participate from their homes. It seems to me like it's an opportunity in a way to sing big, sing loud, sing in or out of tune, but just sing. Everybody sing.
Yeah. That's been
And we've got Jen who's going to move, which seems to help remember this is the vessel of the voice.
right. Yeah. 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 It's been one of the big things that I've heard of going online. There are a lot of people who are coming to do these things that I've been offering, that a lot of people have been offering online, who wouldn't normally step out and join a group live, because they know that they can just be themselves and sing and not have to worry about anybody judging them, because they're in their own home and they're just doing their own thing. And so
I love that.
Yeah.
I really, really love that. Well, I'm really looking forward to it, Roy. It will
I am
be a
too.
pleasure. You and me and about 150 others will meet on Sunday, the 27th of June. Thank you for talking to me, Roy. I loved
Thank you.
hearing more about you and just talking about the way that music is on the front line of creating community and hopefully helping people go beyond any limits they feel like they might have thought they had.
Right. Well, I'm honored to be doing it. So thank you. Thank you.
Great, Roy. Thanks so
All
much.
right.
Okay, I'll see you on Sunday.
Great.
Great.
Take care.
Roy Willey from Denver, Colorado.